Okay, thanks so much everybody for coming out on a Saturday. I was told there'll be like 15 people here, so this is slightly more. I'm the only Asian in the world who can't do math, so I'm not surprised that I miscalculated very badly. But I'm delighted that you're all here, and it's a Saturday, and you have much better things to do, so I'll try to make it as useful for you as possible. We'll go for about 2 hours with lots of time for Q&A. And the idea is not just to ask questions about what I'm talking about, but we'll talk about what you want to talk about. Now, Ying explained sort of how I came to be here, but she didn't tell you the full story. She said, I want you to do a couple of talks. So the couple of talks turned into 7 talks. And then she said, you know, your son, so I arrived this morning at 5 o'clock, and I'm leaving Monday night. So I'm here only for 60 hours on the ground. And she said, well, Sunday you have some free time, so why don't you, will you be willing to do a couple of talks? So I said, okay, maybe. Next thing I know, I'm booked in Taiwan, and tomorrow I'm going to Taiwan. So 60 hours, I'm not even getting 60 hours in Hong Kong. My family is running around Hong Kong. Somebody listen to the police scanner. If you hear any trouble, you know that my twins are causing it. My 15-year-old twins just had their birthday, and we just had a birthday lunch. And that's why we're here actually celebrating. We turned this into a celebration of their time here. I'll just show you. One of the things I did was we lied to our twins and told them that we're going to Philadelphia instead of Hong Kong for Memorial Day. Memorial Day, you might know, is a holiday in America. It's one of those many holidays. Americans have very flexible ways in which they celebrate their holidays. They can move Lincoln's birthday to a Monday, so you get a 3-day weekend, George Washington's birthday. So this is one of those days that's always a Monday. And so until we got to the Cathay Pacific check-in, they didn't realize that we're actually going to Hong Kong and not just to Philadelphia. So this is the moment where we caught them on tape. Let's just see here if we can. They're not sure what exactly is happening.
Surprise!
Have they been to Hong Kong?
No, never been to Hong Kong. They're so excited after. Now they're just shocked. Excitement comes.
We're going to Hong Kong for the weekend.
So anyway, it goes on like that. So only Ying can make such things happen. So we're very grateful to Ying. And she shows the value of kind of being somebody who gets things done, and the reputation you have is all you have. And she has really built an amazing network here in Hong Kong, but around the world. Most people in America in journalism only know one person in Hong Kong media, and that's Ying Chen. And so it's really amazing what she has done, and really proud to be her friend and delighted to be here. My idea of vacation is that they're having fun and I'm out teaching and talking to all of you, so I think it's going to work out. So we are going to spend, as I said, the 2 hours sharing things. You all have the handout, right? You all have the handout. Throughout the presentation, I think it's really, we have lots of extra copies if you need them. I'll just pass them around here, yeah. What you want to do is, because we're going to throw a lot of things at you. Oh, there are more hands going up. Hold on. While you're here, and more. By the way, I also want to thank Walia for bringing us out here. She made me run through the subways. It was pretty amazing. And then I saw a sign that said Kennedy Town. I said, this is my kind of city, right? It's called Kennedy Town. I was very excited about that. I get excited about silly things, but that was exciting. Anyway, so the best way to make use of today's session, oh, hi, Nirpal. Hi, how are you? Oh, great to see you guys. The best way to make use of today is to take notes on the document you have, or on your computer, or on your phone. You should leave here with what I call an action checklist. Action checklist. Things, people, names, topics, tools that you want to try later. So you can make 2 columns. You can say things to try now, try later. You can make just 2 columns and write them down, because there'll be things we'll throw in there, right? Like Ying Chen, maybe you don't know her, but you want to follow her, find out who she is, read about her a little bit. So you'll put her in try now, and then maybe try later. You can do that. And then as the session becomes really boring, which it will, you can make a 3rd column saying, I can't believe they brought this guy from New York. What a waste of time. And I wasted my beautiful Saturday coming to watch this guy speak, right? Here's one of my first suggestions to all of you. One of the most underrated skills that a person can have in the 21st century is annotation. Annotation, do you all know what that means? Annotation means writing little notes that explain something around us. And we're in a world where there's so much happening all the time. The ability to annotate is extremely important. Some of you know that word from like Shakespeare class in 9th grade, right? That's when the last time you heard that term. But I believe it's a great tool and a great way for all of us to work in the 21st century. So become a good annotator of life around you, of things you see, of people you meet, all of that. Just become a great note taker, and it will make a difference in what you're doing. I'm going to now just switch into my presentation mode here so that you have that. And let me just see, here it is. Oops, sorry, 1 second. And you all have the Wi-Fi, right? The HKU Wi-Fi, which is open and public. I love that. I think that's really good when these systems are open, within reason, of course. One of the things you will do today is, as I'm speaking and I say things that are jargony or don't make sense or too complicated, please ask. We have enough time that this can be a really interactive session, and you'll get a chance to ask as many questions as you need to understand. I also have a few minutes afterwards. I'll stick around and you can ask questions then. After this, I'm going to AAJA, to the N3 conference, and I'm very excited about that. And I'll be speaking at, I think, 6:30. I had hoped to take a nap, but that has not happened. So if I take a nap during the session, you won't mind, right? I think it'll all work out. I think it'll be good. So let's just get here and just show you. Wherever I speak, I start by talking about how unlikely things are that I actually have sponsors for my speaking tour, including the hotel stage at which I'm staying here, which Ying arranged here in Hong Kong. But I wanted to talk about the Global Teacher Prize. Anybody familiar with this? This is a prize where we give one teacher in the world $1 million. And Bill Gates announces the finalists. It's really pretty cool. And we're about to announce the nomination. So if you have a teacher who you believe deserves $1 million, K through 12, meaning high school and less, not college, please nominate them. Follow @TeacherPrize, or globalteacherprize.org. And there's a London-based foundation that gives one teacher $1 million. They announce a teacher contest where they announce the top 50, and then Bill Gates announces the top 10, et cetera, et cetera. So the winner will be announced in March, but please look out for this, or it'll be on my Twitter feed, and we'll give you a chance to nominate your teacher, and I hope you'll do that. And I use a tool called hash tracking to track all my tweets. So anything you tweet today using using the hashtag SreeTips will get recorded, and you can use it on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, anywhere you like. You can use the hashtag SreeTips. And the world is so unusual that Donald Trump might get a Nobel Prize, and I have a shirt sponsor. Both are equally unlikely, and I don't think my contract says I should be wetting my entire shirt in sweat, but I've done that right now. But there's a Bombay shirt company. It tells you something unusual. This is a Bombay-based company, but they have a store in Soho in New York. It tells you something about the ambition of India, the ambition of Asia, and I think that's pretty cool about how things have changed. And here you have my contact information. All of you can take a look at it. And right here you see the slides that I present are already here. So if you take a picture of this, you have the slides. It's also in your handout. Does everybody see it? So you can annotate this document. It's right here. It says, third from the bottom, read always updated presentation, social media status report. Does everybody see that? So you can mark that. I also just tweeted the slides and the presentation. So, and this document. I tweeted all of this in one tweet. So you can just go in there and just hit retweet right now and bring in your friends, family, colleagues. And enemies, why should your enemies be spared this? Why not force this on them by just hitting retweet? If you're on Twitter or on Facebook, you can use that as well. So I have multiple things I've put up here. Let me see if I can try one more time to do the bigger screen display. And if that works, then we'll go with that. But basically, my contact information, I'm pretty easy to find. I'm at Sree on Twitter, and my email is sree@sree.net. Sree.com is a chain of motels in Florida, so you probably don't want that. But you might get a good room, I don't know. Sree@sree.net. My Instagram is SreeNet, and again, you can use that. And I'd love for you to practice today. One of the things that I find in all these tools is the more you use it, the better you get at social. So practice with that. My Facebook this is my personal Facebook, and this is my business Facebook. Once a day, I post some really good tech tip on all kinds of things. So you can just follow Sree tips, or you can connect with me personally on there. My LinkedIn is here. How many of you are on LinkedIn? Raise your hand. Look around you. How many of you know what you're doing on LinkedIn? See, the hands all fell down. I think Nirupam knows. What happens is they all fall or they go like this. They turn into Indian dancers, right? This is the light bulb move, right, in Bhangra dancing, right? So this is so odd, but not unusual. Every place I go, I ask the same question. Maybe 2 hands stay up, and even they are a little wishy-washy. They're not sure. Why is that? LinkedIn, I believe, is the most powerful, underrated, underappreciated of all the networks. And I beg you to start using LinkedIn. And you will say, well, in Hong Kong, we don't use it that much. But you will, and people will use it. I believe it's so important that every 15-year-old in the world should create a LinkedIn account and have one for the rest of their lives. Why is it that a platform that everybody is on, they feel they don't need it or they don't understand it? Why? Because they think it's a job hunting tool. It is a job hunting tool, but it is a career management tool. And they have spent a lot of money and a lot of energy in making it better every day. And that's why I want you to use it. So I'm kind of on a crusade to make people use it. I just came back from India, and I said the same speech there, and I told them, I'm an Indian who likes LinkedIn, but I'm not the Indian who likes LinkedIn the most. Anybody know which Indian in the world likes LinkedIn the most? There's a guy named Satya Nadella, who's the CEO of? No, the CEO of LinkedIn, no, CEO of Microsoft. Good, we're close. Of Microsoft. He owns Microsoft. He's CEO of Microsoft. He bought LinkedIn for $26 billion. Think of that number. How much did Mark Zuckerberg pay for Instagram? Anybody remember? $1 billion. How much did Mark Zuckerberg pay for WhatsApp? Anybody remember? But no, 19 billion. So that was a lot. 19 billion was a lot. So what I say is I'm this Indian, second most appreciative of LinkedIn. Satya had to pay 26 billion. All I do is go around telling people to use it. Now, why do I say it's so good? Because it's a professional network. The people you meet there are your peers, not necessarily your creepy cousins, right? It's the people you want to connect with, your business side. Also, they have made lots of new features, and all you have to do to get better at LinkedIn is to use it. And so you could just take something you're already posting on Facebook or Twitter and just post it on LinkedIn, the same link, and just see what happens. You get back tremendous data. And I'll show you some examples of that later, and if I don't, remind me, that show you the value of LinkedIn. So that's why I encourage you to play with LinkedIn, use it, and get better at it. And that's my LinkedIn, and you can connect with me right there. It's very easy to do. I also have a closed Facebook group called Sree's Advanced Social, and you can right now go on Facebook and find it. And I urge you to join that, because there is a group of about 8,000 people who are all taken this class or are senior people at Facebook, at Twitter, at YouTube, at LinkedIn, the CEO of Foursquare. They're all there, and it's a community that should be like very loud with 7,000 people, but it is really pretty good order there. And there's a lesson for all of us that we should be thinking about building our digital communities while building our physical communities. We're all really good at building our physical community. Let's also build our digital community. So if you have, for example, a place like iDendron, you have all the physical stuff you do, but what is the digital community you're building as well? And that's really important. To have that together is the success of things. You can see my TEDx videos here, and then this is my Sunday newsletter. I'm a big fan of newsletters, and I had stopped my newsletter 10 years ago, but I brought it back. It's been about 3 months because I believe newsletters are important again. And I believe every institution of any enterprise needs a newsletter. Whether it's once a week, once a day, once a month, everybody needs a newsletter. And we can talk a little bit more about that. Again, you'll find all of this under this, right? So if you just remember this, I update this every couple of days, in fact. And so you'll always have the latest version. And then this page you have in your hand is this page. Okay? Everybody with me? My stuff is so complicated, I need an orientation before we even start. But I hope this helps. Any questions before we start about anything? So we're using the hashtag Sree tips, and I hope you'll post. And I hope someone will check the Hong Kong trends, because if everyone here participates, we can be trending in Hong Kong pretty easily. So I hope someone will keep an eye out on that as well. And again, if you need an extra copy of the handout, we have them here. Just raise your hand and we'll get you one. Ying, can I just leave these with you, or leave that with you? Anybody who doesn't have one? Oh, yeah, sorry, she's good. Well, yeah, there's, over here, there's people who want to make paper airplanes, so give them some here. All right. So whenever I teach, I start with ABC. Always be charging your phone. Who here is charging their phone right now? Anybody? One person? People sitting towards the wall are charging their phones. It's a lazy Saturday, so maybe you've not been out and about, but by 2:30 on a normal day, you're probably running out of juice. And who here carries around a power bank? Is that what you call it here? Power bank. Who here has a power bank? Just lift it up. Show it to me. Oh, look at that nice bag you got yours in. Who else has one? Raise your hands, or raise your hand if you have one. Oh, look at hers. Look at this. Very fancy. Wi-Fi. Oh, it's Wi-Fi and a charger at the same time. Wow. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, so these are mine. I usually travel, look, different sizes. Here's one here. Here's one made just for sunlight. It's a solar-powered charger. And then I went to my favorite store in the world. It's called Miniso. Has anyone heard of this? Yeah? Wherever I go in the world, I try to find a Miniso, and I buy all these chargers. Look at this. I bought this. This is 20,000 units. So this, just to give you an idea, this is 5,000. This is 20,000. And then I have another one here. I bought so many, they gave me a whole bunch of selfie sticks. It was hilarious. So maybe if we have some good questions, or I'll ask you a question and I'll give you a selfie stick. They were just giving them away. I'm really proud. When I was the Chief Digital Officer of the Met, I banned the selfie stick from the museum. I said, I'm pro-selfie, just not pro-selfie stick, because inside a museum, you can poke people, poke the art, you can fall over our balconies, we have bodies of water, so we banned it. But I'm very pro-selfie, and we'll take a selfie afterwards. My belief, selfie or it didn't happen. Right? So we will take a selfie afterwards for sure. Second is always be collecting, and always be connecting. What I mean by that is, when I mention somebody, connect with them. Connect with people when you don't need them, so they're there when you need them. Connect with people when you don't need them, so they're there when you need them. So what that means is, like I mentioned Ying Chan, some of you of course know her already connected. But if you're not connected to her, connect with her. Just follow her on Twitter, Ying Chan 88, or on, Ying World on Twitter, and Instagram is Ying Chan 88. And just say hi and just connect with her, right? You don't need her for anything. But learn to connect with people when you don't need them. Two of my best friends, who are dear friends of Ying also, aren't here today. They used to live in Hong Kong. They were professors. One of them was a professor here. One is Andrew Lee, L-I-H. He's F-U-Z-H-E-A-D-O on Twitter, Fuzzheado. And the other is Mei Fong, who was a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, and just wrote a big book about the one-child policy of China. And she's Mei Fong writer. And you could follow both of them right now, and you're not asking for anything, right? And Andrew is America's biggest expert on two things. It's hard to be America's biggest expert on one thing. The two things are, one is the Chinese internet. He is the person in America that they interview about the firewall and everything else, the Great Firewall of China. And the second is Wikipedia. And by the way, there's another tool that I think Wikipedia is so important, but most people don't quite understand how and where and how to deploy it and why to use it. So always be connecting with people when you don't need them, I think is a good idea. And then finally, always be collecting is about using your camera as a collection device. And I gotta say, get into that habit. Always be collecting, but share as appropriate, right? Just because you collect doesn't mean you share. But if you never collect, you will never be able to share. So that's really important in what you're trying to do. You have a copy of this. If you have not taken a photograph of this, please do. So you have this with you. And then remember that you have this document in your hand right now. And you can connect with me on these other platforms here. You also heard a very nice introduction from Yang about my work and as Chief Digital Officer, all of this stuff. But she didn't quite fill in all the details. And the details are I was a professor for 21 years at Columbia. I loved my time there. I had wonderful students, including some from Hong Kong, and one who happens to be in Hong Kong now here, Preeti Davra, who's just sitting in front. And I had a great time, and I became Chief Digital Officer of Columbia, and then I left to become Chief Digital Officer of the Metropolitan Museum. And when I left $1.1 million in tuition benefits for my children behind. Because you know, American universities are really expensive, right? So $1.1 million. And so people said, you must be crazy to leave that much benefits behind to go to work at the Met. And I said, I'm getting 17 Van Goghs in exchange, so that's a good deal. And I made that joke in Shanghai, and someone thought I actually got a Van Gogh somehow. So I did not get any Van Goghs in the deal. I want you to know that. I went to the Met because I got a chance to build, to do something incredible, and that was to work with 70 people in digital. Think of any institution in the world that had 70 people doing digital media. We did email and web and apps and data and all these cool things, and I had a great time working there and thought I was going to be there the rest of my life until one morning I came in and I was told, ta-da, you're leaving. They were having financial difficulties, and I was asked to leave the Met. And it was quite a shock to me. I went on Facebook and announced I'm leaving, and I gave people a form to fill out, and 1,400 people filled in the form. It was quite amazing. So at the worst time of my life, I had the best moment of my life. People all over the world came and gave me what I call a global digital hug. There were some really good ideas and some really terrible ideas in there.
What did the form say?
So the form said, this is what happened, and please fill in. I said, come for a walk with me. I like to walk. And people did crazy things. Somebody dropped off a new pair of Nike shoes and said, come, we'll go for a walk, you know, things like that. So it was really nice. And I still walk every day. I try to walk 5 to 10 miles a day. And just on the plane, I walk 3 miles on an airplane like a crazy person. So if you're in a plane and you see somebody walking back and forth, it's probably me. But anyway, so this is what happened to me. And you can, because this entire presentation, I forgot to tell you. So I'm presenting from my phone, as you can see, right? You can all see that, not such a big deal. But the entire presentation is not just from the phone, but the entire presentation was made on the phone. Ooh, that's right. Why? Why did I do that? Because I believe that we spend too much time creating content on our laptops and our desktops. Many of us have 2 or 3 monitors, beautiful monitors, and we're creating all this content, but our public is consuming their content on the phones. And so we should be doing more. I'm not saying never use a laptop, of course. I have a laptop here. My laptop matches my jeans. See, I'm obsessed with rose gold, as you can tell, right? So I recommend that we all get better at using our phone to create content. And so this presentation is not done on Microsoft PowerPoint, it's done on Google Slides. You know, Slides is the equivalent of Microsoft PowerPoint, much better because it works so well. The entire presentation was made here on my phone. And it works really well, and it looks really good, and it's interactive. So you can click on this and get the article. You click on this and you get a video from PBS, which is a big American television network. Everything you see is clickable, right? All of these things are clickable if you go to this URL, right? It's all about this URL. Everybody with me on this? So I encourage you to think about how you are using your content on the phone and creating content on the phone. Our consumers are on the phone. I want us to be better at creating on the phone. And that's one of the things I talk about. So you can click here and read all about it. Any questions so far? Yeah.
If we want to design our own website, do we have to take into consideration that it should be different for phone users who use it differently? So take that into consideration.
Great question. I'll just repeat it for the camera and for other people. The question was, if we're building a website, how much should we care about the two? And there was a time when you would build two separate websites, right? You would build a mobile website and a desktop website. And those days are gone. We now create a single site that we call a responsive website, right? And what is it really made for? If you think about it, it's really made for the phone, but you can expand it and it becomes same as a desktop or a tablet size. You want to make one rather than 2 or 3 or 4. And that's why I think now the tools that people use in America, most people use WordPress. There's another brand called Wix, W-I-X. There's another brand called Squarespace. Let's hear some suggestions from you guys about what you use and what you like for building a website. If you needed to build a website today, what would you use? WordPress. Anybody else? Is there any local brands or Chinese brands or anything?
I'm using Squarespace.
Squarespace, okay. Squarespace. Anybody else? Any other suggestions? There was one more that I just heard about. I'm blanking on it, but I'll try to tweet it out in the next day or two. So the way I use Twitter is a continuation of this class. Everything I post and share, I imagine, will be useful to you, and that's how I post. So if you follow me on Twitter, you will see that. So your answer to the question is you must really care what it looks like on the phone. Most American media websites are something like 80 to 85% mobile. What is the percentage here in Hong Kong, roughly? Something similar or? Very low. Mobile is low? I thought everybody's on their phone.
The use of mobile is high,
Yeah?
but websites are low on being responsive.
Oh, on being responsive. So all the more reason they should all be responsive, right? So that's something for us to think about. So you can think about that as well. Any other questions before we move on from here?
Is it live video on Facebook right
No.
now?
If you want to do it, you can, but my phone is here, so somebody else would have to do live. This is being videotaped, right, but not being live broadcast. Yeah, so I did a Facebook Live from my hotel today, and this is a new thing that I think we all need to adjust to, that there was a time when, you saw somebody with a camera, and then you're like, you want to duck, and you move away, and then now you're kind of used to that, and then you see somebody with a phone, and then you think, gee, maybe he's taking video of me, and then you duck and you try to move away. But now there's a third problem, which is what? Live streaming, right? Somebody's holding a phone. He could be live right now to the world, and you have to be super careful about that. And I was inside the hotel, and then I just realized there was like a couple in the hotel. Maybe they don't want to be on Facebook Live, I was interviewing the general manager, and it was like a little weird, right? So this is the world we live in now, where things are different, and we need to be thinking about that as we kind of go forward. So if you're sharing stuff from here, please use the hashtag Sree Tips and share it out and post comments and tweets, and we'll see if we trend. Now I'm going to take you back into a different time, and I'll just tell you. So what happened? So this happened to me, and then I went from here. I went to work as the Chief Digital Officer of New York City, and I got reorganization, right? I don't know if that's a term you use here, but I got reorged there. So I lost 2 jobs in 12 months. They tell you adversity builds character. Have you heard that? Adversity builds character. Ying, we haven't met in 2 years. My character is amazing now, right? It's like my character is really fantastic. So I do not recommend it to anybody, but here's what happened. Somebody said to me, your kids are learning the most important lesson in life. Resilience. You know that term, resilience? We're bouncing back. And they need to know that life is no longer, when we were growing up, life was an escalator, right? You got in and you went up, right? Maybe slow. Some people were faster escalators, some were slower, but everybody went up. Now we live in a world where there are no escalators, right? It's a roller coaster, and your children are so lucky they're learning this from you. I said, I wish they could just watch a movie or read a book about this. They don't need to live this. I said they should watch a TED Talk, right? They don't need me to give the TED Talk on it. So it's very, very rough. My kids have fortunately never asked me, Dad, why did you give up $1 million in scholarships for us to go work at the Met? One day they will ask me, but not yet. So anyway, so I wake up every morning with what I call a $1 million tuition tumor. I wake up and I'm hustling. That's why when Ying said, can you do 20 events in 3 days? Sure, no problem, right? I'm there. But that's part of what happens when you're hustling. So I'm going to take you back to a time in 1981. And I'm going to tell you a story. And so now what do? If you're wondering, I basically do social media coaching and consulting and training. And I have 4 major clients. One of them is the new Louvre Museum in Abu Dhabi, which is incredible, and you should go see it. The second is the UN Refugee Agency. And we have offices in 130 countries. And the World Refugee Day is coming. If you want to help with that, talk to me afterwards. And there's a global thing you can help me with. I also work with the Teacher Prize, as you heard. And then the fourth thing is the Pulitzer Prizes, which are being given out this Wednesday. And I also work with a group of Italian bistros in New York City. And what I tell Luca, who runs the Italian bistros, is exactly the same thing I tell the head of the Louvre in Abu Dhabi. The most important thing you can do to be successful is storytelling, people, visuals, and human connections. Every single industry, they're all different, but it all goes back to the same thing: storytelling, visuals, human connections, people, right? And make it about your people. And that's what I tell them. So I'm going to tell you a story about a person. This is 1981, and somebody moved to New York. And when you move to New York, 1981, you have a roommate. How do you reach the roommate? He was going to tweet him, but it didn't exist. He was going to Facebook him, but it didn't exist. He was going to fax him, it didn't exist. No Instagram, no Twitter. What did he do? He wrote him a letter, right? Some of you are wondering what that is, but there is such a thing as a letter. And he wrote a letter, and he said, I'm coming on this day in August, I think, and looking forward to meeting you. So he gets into New York, he goes into the building, knocks at the door. Nobody's there. Knocks and knocks and knocks and knocks and knocks, and nobody's there. And he is so frustrated, keeps knocking. He has nothing else he can do, but he takes his suitcase and goes behind in the alley, puts that suitcase on the floor, and goes to bed, and he sleeps there his first night in New York. 27 years later, that man becomes president of the United States. That's the story of Barack Obama's first night in New York City. How many of you knew the story, by the way? Okay, so good. So you learned something today, right? So if somebody asks you, what did you learn? You spend all those hours at HKU today on a Saturday. What did you learn? Well, I learned something about Barack Obama. But just think about that. And I want you to think of yourself as his neighbor, potential neighbor. And you come in and you see a man banging on the door, and you look at him, oh, that's the next president of the United States. Let me help him. No. You see another man or the same man sleeping on a suitcase in the alley behind your house. Do you say, there's the president of the United States. Let me give him some money. Let me help him. No, you think, oh, that's a homeless guy. Call the cops, right? 1981, New York was really bad anyway, right? But think about that. And this is one of the problems in the social media world. What is the equivalent of this? The equivalent of this is the follower count. You know what I'm talking about, right? That people think how many followers you have determines your value. If she has 500 followers, she's not important. He has 5,000 followers, he's more important. She has 5 million followers, she's the best, right? And she may be the best, but we don't know. But we assume because of social media. And that's what I want to change in the world. And I want you to think of the story. Anytime you look at somebody's viewer count, think of this. I know that some of the most influential, important people in the world have very few followers. Some are not even on social, but they have great impact and are able to do great things. So one thing I'd like to do now is a little exercise, okay? And so we talk about the importance of building your network and making your connection. So if you would all either take out your phone, actually everybody just take out your phone. You already have your phone in your hand. You're already shopping for shoes. I know that anyway. So just pull out your phones. Okay, everybody pull out your phones. And we're all going to do this, including me. I want you to think of who in your life you reach out to when you have trouble, right? If you lose your job, or you have a health emergency or something, who's in your life, and just see if you can find them on your phone. How quickly can you find them on your phone? Are they in your speed dial? Are they in your favorites? Are they in your Instagram? Go ahead and find that person. Everybody do this. I'm going to do the same thing. And then I'm going to ask you to imagine that something really bad has happened, and I want you to write them a note. Write them anything you like. It could be your boss, could be your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, and say anything you like. You might want to say, I love you. Well, maybe not to your boss. I don't know how things are in Hong Kong, but not in America. We can't do that. What else can you say? You can say, thinking of you. This guy is forcing me to write to you. Just write something. I'm going to do it. Everybody has 1 minute to do this, okay? It's very quickly. This can be one sentence. They're very easy to do. So I'm going to do this as well. So I just wrote a note saying appreciate it, and you. Okay, done. If you're done, just kind of wave your hand if you're done. Just wave, that's it. All right. Who is willing to tell us what they wrote? Just paraphrase it. It doesn't matter who. You can just say, I wrote to X, and this is what I said. Anybody willing to do that? Yeah.
I wrote, I love you.
You okay? To your boss? No.
To, my boss is right here.
Oh, your boss is right here. Okay.
To my mom and dad.
Oh, so nice. Oh, group WhatsApp. By the way, who here is on a group WhatsApp? Who here thinks group WhatsApp are the world's worst things? Yeah, same hands. Right? But who can't live without your group WhatsApp? Everybody, right? You heard about this? In India, every morning, 200 to 300 million Indians get up and say what? Good morning. And what happens in Silicon Valley? The internet gets clogged in Silicon Valley because these stupid Indians are sending these stupid messages of good morning, right? So you've heard about that. Okay. Anybody else write anything to somebody? Yeah, what did you write?
I just greet my friend.
Okay. On Instagram, good. Anybody else? Anybody else? So here's what's going to happen, guys. One of you will get a note that says, are you okay? Because we only reach out to people when we need something. So I want to get you in the habit of writing to people when you don't need anything. We are so attuned to only reaching out. And this happened to me as a professor. 21 years as a professor, I would have students write to me, and Ying knows this, write to me and say, Sree, I need a reference for a fellowship. I need it yesterday. And by the way, I've not heard from you in 10 years. I don't know what you've been doing, but I need this now, right? All they have to do, this has happened to you so many times. So if you are thinking of getting a fellowship, write to that professor now when you don't need anything from her or him. Just get into this habit. Build it into your workflow and your life flow of connecting with people in that manner, and it will make a big, big difference in what you're doing. So here are 4 things that social media can do for you, and you may want to take a picture of this or think about these things. And I believe that social media is really effective when you do all 4. Unfortunately, most people don't do all 4 things. Most people do only 1 or 2 of these things. And they're fairly obvious, so if you have a question you can ask, or you can tweet this and post it out there. Any questions about these 4 things from anybody? Anything not make sense, or you, yeah?
What do you mean by deeper ways, affected audiences?
Yeah, so well, there are 2 things in here that are worth noting. One is plural. Did you notice how you said audiences rather than audience, right? Everybody thinks we have an audience. No, we have audiences. Do you have one of these? Audiences, because we have different audiences for different things. I might post something, it's for my general audience, but it's also within that sub-communities of audiences. And deeper connections, what I mean by that is there are ways now in which you can connect with them, again, when you don't need them, or social media allows you to do what I am a big fan of, low touch, low temperature connections. Low touch, low temperature connections. Before social media, the only way for me to connect with somebody who I don't know is to ask them for something. Right? You write a letter and say, please come and speak at my school, or please do this, or please do that. Now, social media allows me to do low touch, low temperature connections. And that's a big thing in the way the world has evolved. So what can you do to connect with somebody? You can retweet them, you can like them, they ask a question, you can answer them. Some of you are in public relations, is that correct? Somebody? No? No public? Yes, some public relations people. So the best PR people are the ones who reach out to you and help you when it's not their client, right? Because they just want to be generally helpful. And so as a journalist, I deal with a lot of PR people, but the ones I respond to are the ones who help me when it's not their client. So similar, that's just one way of kind of thinking about it. Any questions or comments from anybody? Yeah. Oh, and tell us who you are. Yeah.
My name is Andy Tong. I'm an IT person.
Oh, nice.
Social media use a lot of image
Yeah.
and photo
Yes.
nowadays instead of a lot of wording.
Yes.
That bring a lot of attention.
Okay. A lot of attention. Yeah.
A lot of attention.
Wow, look at that. Whoa, he's got a radio voice, right? You should be on the Hong Kong radio. You've got a beautiful, you've also got a beautiful face, but you could also have a beautiful voice.
Let's start now. What I'm trying to say that with a lot of image, create a lot of space, but that bring into a journey that people really catch their attention to look into it at the clicks. Is that right?
No, it's correct. It's absolutely right. In fact, you've got ahead of me, but I'll tell you, I coined a term called thumb stoppers. In fact, if you look at the document, one second, I'll tell you, I have them here. It's here. If you look it's on the right side, under always be learning, it says make thumb stoppers, right? Do you see that? And thumb stoppers are a GIF or a GIF or a photo or a drawing or an image. Anybody know Bitmoji? Anybody know what that is? Some of you do, right? So I'll show you in a second. But absolutely, images work, and they're really important. By the way, one of my problems with PowerPoint is that people don't know how to use PowerPoint. What do? They write 1,000 words, and then they read the 1,000 words, right? Even this is too many words, right? So I'm going to give you Guy Kawasaki's formula. Anybody know Guy Kawasaki? He's amazing on social. You can follow him. He had the world's greatest title. His title was Chief Evangelist of Apple. Now, who was the Chief Evangelist of Apple? Steve Jobs, right? So for Steve to let him have this title, maybe he was there when Steve wasn't there. Someone needs to check this. But the fact that he had that title is amazing. Anyway, Guy Kawasaki says that the rule for PowerPoint is 10/20/30. Anybody remember what that is? 10, 20, 30 rule for PowerPoint, and you'll become better at PowerPoint. Anybody know what that is? So it's no more than 10 slides, 20 minutes, 10 slides, 20 minutes, and what's the 30? Font size, very good. Font size of 30. No fewer than 30, so that's how you won't have any room to write, right? 10, 20, 30. Sometimes it can be 20 minutes and 10 slides, or 20 slides and 10 minutes. It doesn't matter. But the idea is less, right? Do less in what you're doing. So that's my tip on how to do PowerPoint. So these are all the good things social media can do for you. So here's the bad stuff. And this, by the way, is Bitmoji. Bitmoji is an app on Android and iPhone that allows you to make personalized emojis. And I like mine because I can add more hair. It's great, right? I was even thinking to make it all black or blonde, but you can see this. So they have hundreds of these, and they're almost perfect if you've seen them, right? You can change the fashion, you can do all kinds of things. There's also thinner than I am, so that's why I like it. So Bitmoji, write it down and play with it later. It's also on your list next to thumb stoppers, right? So I've got a whole bunch of tools that I want you to think about, but definitely think about using Bitmoji. I like that. So number 2 is FOMO, fear of missing out. You know what that is. Loneliness, insert societal crisis here, anything you like. And then tech neck. What is that? What is tech neck? Anybody know? Yeah, it's from looking down on your phone all day like this, because you're carrying the weight of a bowling ball on your neck, and that was not the way. I don't think ancient man walked around like this, right? Ancient man was like looking up for trouble all the time. So it's very hard to do your phone stuff looking up because it's hard, right? But I encourage you, even from this angle to this angle will make a difference. And from this angle to this angle will make a difference. Just that slight degree will save your neck and hours and years of pain and trouble. So please just go up a little bit and it's fine. I said I walk a lot. This is how I walk all the time. I'm on my phone like this. I might fall down a manhole one of these days, but people think I'm taking video of people all the time, but I'm not. I'm just on my phone and I'm like this. It looks stupid, but it'll save my neck. So please think about tech neck when you're working. Any questions so far? Okay, so Bitmoji. Anybody have a good Bitmoji? You said you have a good Bitmoji game. You can ask her to show her yours. You have a good one? All right. Okay, so check that out later. Yeah, question, yes. Yeah, it's a problem. You know, I feel like I'm in an Alcoholics Anonymous club meeting, right? You know, hi, my name is Sree. Hello, Sree. And I'm a tech, addict. Yeah, you can say that, right? So the answer is, it's too much time, and I'm going to give you a tool for this. The tool called Moment. Has anybody tried this? Do not try it. Do not write it down. Do not try it. It will tell you how many times you touch your phone and how many hours you spend on each app. Okay, it's very dangerous. Do not write it down. Okay? Do not write it down. It's called Moment, M-O-M-E-N-T. Do not write it down. But the reason you want to know, and by the way, before you use it, guess the number, and it'll be 3 times that number for sure. Right? I'll just show it to you here so you can see it. I just got an Apple Watch it was an early Father's Day present from my wife and my kids. And so I've been using my phone a little bit less, but let's see how much I've been using it. I think it's less. I don't know. Look at that. You'll see 8 hours today, Monday. But it's less. Actually, this is less. Look, this is all less than it used to be. Look at this. 15 hours in one day. I don't have a life, people. I don't have a life. By the way, you're thinking I planted her there so she can ask this question. Right? We've never met before, right? She just knew that she knew the answer was big. She would not have asked that if the answer was small. She knew this was a big answer. Let's just see that day. I picked up the phone 22 times, which is not that much actually, but I was on the phone a lot that day. What happened on Sunday? Yeah, look at this. So mostly I spend 20% of my day, of my making life on my phone. Yeah, I don't know, in the quarter it's probably higher. Let's see. 36%. So normally it's about 36%. And then you can set limits. And then there's a coach who will tell you, stop using your phone. And I just hit stop, I just snooze that, right? So there's a coach here, screen time. You can set this for your kids. It's really useful, but I don't listen to it. So, I'm like a doctor who smokes. Says, do not smoke, right? Do not smoke. It's really unhealthy. You ever met doctors like that? It's really, so I'm like that. Okay, shall we keep going? You're all okay?
You're all... a screenshot of your
phone? Okay.
I want to see what apps you use.
Oh, what apps I use? Sure.
You slide the screen, see the next one.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
No, you can see that they're not as arranged as the other ones. We'll spend a few minutes at the end getting app recommendations. So everybody get ready to recommend your favorite apps, or even if it's your own app, you can do that. By the way, here's something really unusual. No, I'll get to it in a little bit. I'll tell you about that later. I'm just trying to see if there's anything. Oh yeah, there's an app called Wolfram Alpha. Has anybody seen this? Wolfram Alpha, which is like a science geeks search engine. Among other things, it's got a lot of scientific stuff. Flights overhead is really hilarious. You click on this, and it will tell you what plane you're looking at right now in the sky. What plane is that? So you can look at it. But anyway, so that's called Wolfram Alpha. In Hong Kong, the answer is not up, it's like down, right? Like it's just on the horizon. Everywhere you go, there are planes so low. It's pretty amazing. All right. So I just want to do a time check. It's 3:29. We have about an hour. Is that okay with everybody? Yes? Okay. All right. So you've all seen this photograph. Likely you've seen this photograph. There are two of them. This is from the Vatican. And the first is the transition from Pope Benedict, so from Pope John Paul to Pope Benedict. And the second is from Pope Benedict to Pope Francis. Correct? Everybody can see that? Look at the first photo and look at the bottom right of the first photo. There's a hero. He's using his Nokia phone. And he's sending the photos on Hotmail to his buddies. Now, by the way, Ying, I just want both of us to feel really old. So look around you as I ask this question. How many of you were in high school in 2005? Raise your hand. We're not even in high school in 2005. You're younger that you were not even in high school. Look at this. How many of you were in 5th grade or less in 2005? Okay. Anybody not born in 2005? Okay. Okay. So what grade were you in 2005? 4th grade? Okay. Ying, so we feel old, right? Ying is actually very young. She just, I just like to make her feel old. So think about that guy sending emails on Hotmail to his friends, right? One of the things you had to do on Hotmail in 2005 was what? You attachment and you join to just, you log in to just delete everything because you only got 4 to 6 megabytes total space. One photograph from this idiot and your account was dead, right? So you would log in so that more email could come and a more bad email would come. There was a ridiculous situation. And that's when Gmail came around in 2005-ish. And their premise, what feature did Google not put into Gmail that is shocking today and shocking then when it wasn't there? Now it's there. But what was the feature that was not there? Anybody remember? It did not have a storage limit. That was huge. But what did it not have? It did not have a delete button. It said, you don't need, you just archive your messages. So it said no need to delete. And that was such a shock to people because remember, we were logging in to just delete so we could get new messages. And that was how bad things were. Anyway, and look at 2013 and look, first time I saw this photograph, I thought it was some kind of candles going on. But of course it's not. Now today, 5 years later, what would be happening here? It would be live streaming, right? There'll be a bunch of people live streaming the whole thing. And that's what's different. So I like to ask you guys, like those of you who are working, like what is the difference between what you were doing in 2013 and doing today? If you're doing the same thing in 2013 that you're doing today, you're not keeping up, right? So what are the new things you're doing? So let's think of some tools and things you're using today that you didn't use in 2013. Let's raise our hands as I'll shout out some and then you can see. How many of you in the last few weeks or days have done Uber or something like Uber, right? Raise your hand. What's the big one here? It's not Uber, right? It's Didi. Didi is not here? Oh, it's still Uber? Okay. There are very few cars, though, on Uber. Whenever I'm looking, it's like 9 minutes away. It's a long, I don't know. Okay, let's see. Slack. Anybody here using Slack? Look around you. So Slack is the big email killer tool that a lot of people use. And many people say, why not use a WhatsApp group? What is the number one difference between WhatsApp and Slack? The difference is that if you, let's say we're on a WhatsApp group and we add her in WhatsApp, she doesn't know what was going on before, right? We were talking badly about her. Now she joins, we say, okay, now don't say anything about her. Slack, if she joins, everything is there already. So for in a company setting, it's so much better because your knowledge base is there already. We don't have to explain to her, we don't need to onboard her, right? She's already can read the previous messages. That's why, is Slack big in Hong Kong? Are people starting to use it? So, well, some are saying yes, some are saying no. So I don't know. I'm the dumb visitor, so I don't know. What is the answer? You think they are? Okay. So it depends on whether you use it or not. So Slack, yeah.
Use WeChat.
Yeah, WeChat. Of course, how many of you are on WeChat? Everybody, right? Everybody's on WeChat. WhatsApp? Tinder? Some hands went up automatically without thinking. Is Bumble a thing here? Bumble? Don't Google it. Do not write it down. If you're married, do not even type it. Take it out of your mind.
I used that once, yeah.
What, Tinder once? You want to tell us about it? Okay, we're going to tell a story to everybody. Okay, no, I'm kidding. Okay. And you used Bumble once?
Like Tinder,
Wow.
One finding sugar daddy.
Okay.
Physical thinking arrangement, yes.
Okay, moving on.
Why? We want to hear the story.
You want to hear the story afterwards, okay? I'm rarely speechless, but here I am. All right. Any other tools that you're using in the non-dating world that you want to tell us about? What did you not use 5 years ago that you're using now all the time? What? Instagram, of course, Snapchat. Is Snapchat big here? Younger people. What else? Tumblr. Yeah, Tumblr. OneNote. Yeah, Microsoft OneNote. Yeah. Yeah, all your stuff. Yeah, Evernote. There are multiple tools like that. I use a tool called Google Keep. Anybody know that? What I like about it is it's free and it works on both Android and iPhone and Android and your laptop. It's exactly the same and instant in both places, like a Google Docs, but Google Keep is what it's called. So anyway, there's so many tools, right? They're changing all the time. So I encourage you to change. What about Alexa and Sree and Google Assistant? Are they popular here? Yeah? Is Siri here? Of course, Siri's here. What about Alexa from Amazon? No. Amazon is here though, right? Amazon is here, okay. And what about Google Assistant? You saw the demo that Sundar Pichai did the other day where they like say, give me a restaurant reservation, and then it calls 300 restaurants for you. And then what will happen is the restaurant will have its own AI, and the AI will be talking to another AI, and they'll be like fighting it out. So we don't know where all that's going. It's kind of crazy. So one of the things that I love about the Vatican is that it's really good at digital stuff. And look at the Pope. Look at this example of the Pope. This is really not fair. What is he offering? Time off purgatory if you follow him on Twitter. Now, not everybody's Catholic, so what does that mean? There's heaven, hell, and in between there's limbo or purgatory. And I was in Istanbul a couple of weeks ago, and we explained this to them, and they had a word for it, of course. And I'm not Catholic, but I'm not taking a chance. In case this Hindu reincarnation thing doesn't work out, I'm following him in 8 languages, 8 platforms. I encourage you to do the same, right? Because you know how long is purgatory? Like 1,000 years. So do not blame me if you get stuck there. How brilliant is this of them to do this though, right? What does it tell you? It tells you that they understand marketing. They understand convincing people. They understand all the things we talk about in business, they're doing for 2,000 years, right? Maybe a little less. I don't think Christ started day 1, but you get the idea, right? But this is why it's so brilliant about what they're doing. And here we are just trying to sell our soaps or our articles or a movie, and he's doing this, right? This is the big guns. Like, how can you compete with this? That's why I say this is not fair. I think he's a really cool pope, but it's unfair pope is what I also say about this. Any questions or comments? Okay. Now, you should know that I am the 120,000th most important person on Twitter. You can applaud that, sure. You're actually very shocked, right? Ying built me up, and you thought you're coming to hear number 5 at least, number 20, or at least number 120, not 120,000. If you want to leave now, you can. It's perfectly okay, right? Do not tell anybody you came on a Saturday to listen to number 120,000. Even 120 is too high, right? You guys are in Hong Kong. You're used to people, the best people in the world. Here you have the worst person in the world has come to you at 120,000. Now, I used to be really good. Look, I was at 84,000, and then I went down to 76,000. I thought I was going the right direction, and then I ended up in the wrong place. What happened? Every day, there are Donald Trump happened, that's true. But this is, by the way, this side of the room is really funny. You guys need to step up here. You guys, these guys are all the jokes are coming from this side over here. So what happened is that in every subject area, there are celebrities and micro-celebrities on new platforms, new topics, new languages, and they join. And when they join, they push everybody else down and down and down. And that's what's happening here. And I encourage you to think about this. So this is all part of my theme for this part called Social is Hard. Social is hard. Social is not easy. Social is a lot of work. I spend 6 to 8 to 10 minutes on every tweet I write. 6 to 8 to 10 minutes on every tweet I write. Why? Why?
Make me feel better.
Oh, you make you feel
I thought I
better.
was stupid.
No, you're not stupid. Why? Because punctuation matters, spelling matters. Social media is the only thing I do today that can get me fired today. Social media is the only thing I do today that can get me divorced today. So I think about everything I post, and we'll talk more about that. So here is my dirty secret of social media. Ironically, if you post this on Twitter or Instagram, everybody will notice this because it's so funny. So everyone will miss almost everything you do on social. Right? Everybody understand that? Why is that? That there's something you worked on so beautiful and nobody cared, you make a mistake and then everybody sees it, right? This is just human nature, right?
Journalism.
That's journalism, right? Man bites dog versus dog bites man, right? So here's an example of why social is so hard. Some of you know a CNN correspondent named Jim Acosta. He's at Acosta on Twitter. He's a White House correspondent. He's fighting Trump every day. And you can just tweet at him, say, at Acosta, we're talking about you in Hong Kong. And then suddenly he's dropped right here into the front row. He doesn't even know what happened, right? So again, practice on these people when you don't need them. So I wrote a post about him and I got 185,000 impressions, which is really good. And I thought, this is fantastic. I'm going to get hundreds of new followers, if not thousands of new followers. How many followers did I get? One new follower. 185,000 people saw it, and I got one person to like it, to follow me. This is why social media is hard, right? You've got to work at it. It's not easy. You've got to produce content that people love. And one day, I did produce content people loved. Look at this, 225 people followed me that day. I was so proud of myself. I said, this is the best content. I'm going to make content like this for the rest of my life, until I noticed 158 people unfollowed me on the same content on the same day. Same content, same day, 158 people unfollowed me, including somebody I gave a job to, helped his family, gave him a promotion, and he unfollowed me. His face is right there. I'm not pointing at it. I'm not even looking at it, but I'm so angry. No, I didn't say any of that. Did I say it out loud? No. Right? Out of the blue, that day he decided, on my best content day, he decided I'm going to unfollow this guy. Right? Somebody I helped. This is why social is hard. One of the tools that I use, and I recommend everybody use, is called Bitly. And are people familiar with that? bit.ly, right? You saw that all my slides and everything is Bitly. Why? Because Bitly is a URL shortener that lets you customize the end. So you can remember the pages, right? I told you bit.ly/Sree status report, bit.ly/Sree tips 2018. It's very easy. But the other thing you can do is on any Bitly link, you take a Bitly link, you put a plus at the end of it and hit enter, and what happens? You get the statistics for the traffic to that page. NY Times uses the same thing. Notice it's called nyt.ms. Pepsi uses the same thing. It's called Pepsi, pep.si. All these companies are using Bitly as a back-end tool for this. So let's say you have if your boss ever sends you a Bitly link, double click on it or triple click on it, because she may be watching how many people have clicked on it, right? So what you can do is you can send a link to your mom and say, Mom, this is the thing I worked on for 6 months. I'm so proud. And she'll write back, congratulations, but you will notice she didn't open the link. So what is the number one thing you can get with Bitly and knowing your data? Disappointment. Right? Psychotherapy, right? Those are the things you will get. So do not, there was a time when if you write an article for Time Magazine, you're very happy because you think 2 million people read it, but actually very few people read it. Or if you buy an ad or you do something, you just think everybody saw it, but they really did not see it. Now data tells you And that's the double-edged problem with this. Questions from anybody? So one of the things that everybody wants to know is, how do I get more followers? And I promise to give you that formula at the end of the session. If I give you now, you will leave, so I will not give it to you now, though you can, it's already in your presentation, so you can just fast forward. But my thought about followers is as follows, that it's not who follows you that matters. It's not who follows you that matters, it's who follows you that matters. What does that mean, folks? It's who follows you that matters. What do you think that means?
That person, an influencer.
Influencers, yeah, right. So you want to have influential people follow you. It's great to have everybody follow you, but it's really important that influential people follow you, right? Think about this. We have hundreds of friends, thousands of friends in real life, whatever, but we also now have like specific influential friends that we go to when we need something, right? We need a job, or we need something for my cousin, whatever, we have that. Same way in social. So continue to connect with as many people as you can, but also think about influence. And this is where I think it's important to think about something like LinkedIn. LinkedIn is, you should have a different strategy for LinkedIn than you do for Twitter, than you do for Insta. All of them should have different strategies. But LinkedIn specifically, my strategy is, I want to, when I get an invitation, first of all, I hope to get an invitation from dozens of you on LinkedIn today. But when I get your invitation, I want to get invitations from people I already know, people I would like to know, and people I should know. That's a much more open policy than Facebook, say, right? Facebook wanted general. You've heard the old joke about Facebook versus Twitter. Facebook is for people you went to college with. Twitter is for people you wish you went to college with, right? Because it's more open, you can connect with people. So, but LinkedIn is for people I know, people I already know, people I'd like to know, and people I should know. And just be more kind of connecting with people that matter and having those meaningful connections. Questions from anybody? Okay. So how do we know who are our most influential followers? You should all know the list of your top 100 followers. Who are the most 100, which 100 people in the world, or of all your followers, who are the top 100? And there's a tool for that, and it's called Triangulate. And it's made by a guy named Henry Copeland at HC, so if you want to follow him, you can. Or tweet at him and say, at HC, we're talking about you right now in Hong Kong, and he comes magically and sits down here, right? So here's what it does. Some of you know Jeff Jarvis. Tweet at him, say, at Jeff Jarvis, we're talking about you here at Hong Kong at HKU. And he has 158,000 followers, which is amazing, right? 158,000 followers, more than double what I have. But his top 100 followers have, ta-da, 200 million followers. Think about that for a second. His top 100 have 200 million followers, right? Which means it's great that he has all these followers, but what he's really focused on is the top 100. We all have 100. They may not be exactly the same, but we all have 100 like that. Cultivate the 100 and increase the value of your 100. When your boss at your advertising agency or your computer company or whatever says, I want more followers, I'll say to you, focus on this number that I call the Triangulate Reach Index. Get this higher rather than just focusing on this. First of all, you know you can buy followers. Just because you can buy them doesn't mean you should buy them. In fact, never buy followers, right? All these people in America got fired about 2 months ago because there was a huge scandal where they were buying followers. And there are tools like statuspeople.com that tell you how many fake followers somebody has. Statuspeople.com. And we all have some amount of fake followers, usually 4 to 10%. But if you look at some of the biggest accounts in the world, they have 50%, 60% fake followers. And so that's how you know that they bought these followers, Russian bots and things like that. Right? Questions or comments? Yeah.
When you say followers, you're talking about Twitter.
Yeah, this I'm talking about Twitter. Yeah, but the same principle sort of it's also true on LinkedIn, on Facebook. The same kind of principles about that. And we'll talk about other, but Twitter is the one tool that has the API and the data so easy to get and use and dissect like this, right? The others are much more closed off. Yeah, sure. Sure.
I noticed that you.
Speak up, please. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I noticed that you didn't really talk about Instagram
Yeah, we're coming to it. Don't worry. We'll come to it. Instagram, of course, is huge, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. So I was interviewed in 2015, and I'll say the same thing today about what are the biggest trends. And I said it feels like it's 2006. Podcasting, email, and blogging are hot. And they're really old, right? Old technology. Today, I would really put the emphasis on email newsletters and also on podcast. In America, podcasting is podcasting big here? Do people listen to podcasts? The New York Times, the Daily, you might know that. What else? Any other ones you listen to? Adam Grant's ones are really good. There's so many of them. There's one called Two Dope Queens. There's Note to Self by Manoush Zamarodi, which is really good. There's so many of them. But anyway, the reason these are big again is because the technology to make them and the technology to consume them are so easy now, right? So I want you to think about that. And again, so if you click on this, you can actually get a link to my email newsletter. If you'd like to sign up for my newsletter, you can easily do that. And here is, I was asked also, what are the biggest competition for the Met, right? Is it the British Museum, the Louvre, etc.? And I said our biggest competition is Netflix and Candy Crush and Life in 2018, right? Like there's a big museum complex coming up here, right? West Kowloon, you all know that, right? I'm going to spend some time with them on Monday, and my message to them is your competition is not another museum. Your competition is these things. Though I don't know if anybody plays Candy Crush anymore. What is the game that people play more than that? What is big in Hong Kong? You guys don't play any games. You're just very hardworking people. Nobody's on Twitter. Nobody's on Tinder, right? One person. Right? No games? 2048? Anybody play 2048? Yes? No? Monument Valley, Dots, Crossy Road? No games? Come on. Name one game, people. Come on. What's one game? What? Pokemon Go? Is that still a thing? I don't know if it's still a thing. I don't know if that's still a thing. Okay, all right, moving on. One fun game is called HQ Trivia. Has anybody seen this? HQ Trivia. It's unfortunately, at 3 a.m. and 9 a.m. every day in Hong Kong time. It's out of New York. And they give away $200,000 to $300,000 that you can win. It's a quiz game. So it's called HQ Trivia. It looks like this on the phone. I can show it to you. Sign up. Sorry. HQ Trivia is right here. This is the app. You can see what it looks like. It's HQ like that. I think it's on, and they give away hundreds of thousands of dollars. But because 2 to 3 million people play every day, I won once. My family won once. We won $3.20 US dollars. But they give away a minimum of $2,000 US dollars every time, twice a day. Sometimes 10,000, 20, 300,000. By the way, Nirupam, who's sitting here, was the best quizzer in India for a couple of years at least. You will debate that, but he was one of the best anyway, for sure. So get him on a team and practice. But 3 a.m. is ridiculous, but 9 a.m. is 9 a.m. Instead of going to the office, you can do that. I have a conference coming up in New York called Social Media Weekend, and I want to stop. There are 300 people in the room, and we'll all play together. Somebody will win the game, I'm sure, that day. All right, just going back to the presentation. Again, remember, it's on Google Slides. Okay, so just doing a time check. It's now, we've got about 40 minutes left. And what I'd like to do is to ask everybody to just kind of stand up and stretch for a minute. Just stand up and stretch. You've heard this thing, sitting is the new smoking. Have you heard that? Are standing desks popular in Hong Kong? No? No? It will be, I'm sure, one day. But they say sitting all day at your desk is like smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. So I have a friend who's a smoker who says, anyway, it's too late. So he doesn't bother standing, but a lot of people stand. The main thing about standing is don't buy a super expensive desk. You should buy, you can even get like a upside down case or carton and practice on that first and see if you're ready for it. And you're all reading my messages right there. But in practice and see if it's good for you. And then you can always move it, sit down, stand up. You're not going to stand for 10 hours straight. But really important, get a gel mat on the floor, which is soft, so that you can. Some people have it in their kitchens for cooking. right? So definitely get one if you're trying. Even if you do 2 hours a day, you'll see you'll burn more calories. What I used to find is I would, because I'm already standing, I'd go, instead of sending that email, I would go next door and talk to somebody instead of sending her an email when I was at the office. And I also found I was going more to the bathroom, not because I needed to go, but because I could go. If you sit all day, you're just too lazy and you don't go to the bathroom when you should, you're already up, so you go to the bathroom. So try it, but only if it makes sense for you. And then only if your office will allow you to do it, right? I don't want to break any Hong Kong laws here. All right, let's keep going.
Smoking cigarette is injurious to health kind of thing. After telling everybody so much about social media.
Exactly. It's the same thing. Exactly. You're right. Okay. So now we've come to maybe the most important slide of the day. And this is said by Les Hinton, who is the former publisher of the Wall Street Journal, and he has a big new book out. And you can tweet at him right now and say, at Les Hinton, we're talking about you in Hong Kong, and suddenly he drops here. And by the way, if anybody has been tweeting at any of these people, let me know if they connect with you, or they hit like, or they respond to you in any way. There are people who are good at this. And practice. Again, practice when you don't need to. And you don't need him for anything, right? So why is this so important, folks? Why is this sentence, I said, the most important sentence of everything we talked about today? Why is this so important?
Because there's like so much information going around.
So much information going around, so it's very hard to figure out. So someone might say, it's much more important, clean air, clean water is much bigger problem than this. True, but the solution to those problems is in this, right? If you cannot get people's attention to your problem, you're never going to succeed when there's so much going on. And I can tell you, I've experienced this firsthand. I had one of my clients is a guy who, like what I told you about were my big anchor clients, but one of my smaller clients is a guy who was dropping out. There's a college called RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology in Rochester, New York, and he was dropping out and doing badly because he was bored at school. And so he went to community college, got enough grades, went back to RIT, graduated in 2009. So young man. And he started a startup in Norwalk, Connecticut, which is not a famous place or famous for anything. But anyway, he did a startup there, and everybody said, you must go to California, must go to Silicon Valley, etc. Instead, he stayed there, and his company is called DATO. Anyway, in December, that company got bought for $1.5 billion. And 2 days later, he gave RIT $50 million US. $50 million US, and we couldn't get press attention to the story. Why? Because people in America, $50 million in academic philanthropy is not that much. Harvard got $400 million the other day. Columbia got $200 million. So $50 million was nothing. The local press was interested, but national press was not interested. That's the world we live in now, right? So it's about storytelling. How do you get attention to something specific when you need it? And that's hard. And so think about this in everything you're doing. What I believe to be successful in our world is everything we do needs its own marketing plan. How many of you are in marketing, by the way? The answer is everybody's in marketing. Everybody's in marketing, right? Yeah? You're in sales. Everybody's in marketing and sales. You may think, oh, no, that's not me. Somebody else does that. That used to be true at one point. No matter what industry, you're in marketing. Because what you talk about at the coffee table, at the coffee shop, about your company is marketing, right? When somebody asks you. So you're always marketing, always selling. Even if you don't like it and you find it offensive, it's unfortunately true. So you heard the sad story that I lost $1 million in tuition benefits for my kids. But I do have good news. I did become a millionaire, and I did become a millionaire, it's true. What's the sadder number, folks? Drafts, look at the drafts. 1,200 drafts, what does that mean? The 1,200 wedding invitations, 1,200 jobs, 1,200 consulting gigs, 1,200 talks, 1,200 offers for a drink. Right? That's much sadder than this number. Anybody here know who Priyanka Chopra is? She's a big actress out of India, and also she's in Hollywood now. And the Times of India did a story about her having 250,000 unopened Gmail messages. And somebody clipped this and sent it to the Times of India saying, look at this number, right? So that was pretty funny. So I'm not proud of this number, I should tell you, obviously. But I'm not showing you this because I'm so important, but because many of us have some kind of number. Nothing like this, but some of us have this number. Now, there are also some people in this room whose hair in the back of their neck is standing up right now. They're feeling a little itchy because when they see this, they want to go in and clean this inbox, right? So look around you. Who here is the opposite of me? One. Raise your hand. Be proud. You are my inbox zero heroes. Inbox zero heroes. Give me a tip and give everybody a tip on how to become like you.
Folder everything, delete everything.
Folder everything and delete everything. Not the same time, right? Differently. Okay. Folder everything or delete everything. Same. Any other tips? Same thing. He's got zero. You have a zero inbox. Amazing.
I recently just unsubscribed.
Unsubscribe. There's a tool called Unroll, which helps you take you off all newsletters, except mine, of course. Please do not take off mine. Any other tips on how to be good at this? So I have, how many of you are on Gmail, by the way? Raise your hand. Everybody, right? Everybody's on Gmail. So I haven't used Gmail in 2 years, and I haven't used the Gmail app in 2 years also. And what I use is another tool. And that tool is so good, I'm going to show it to you right now. 1 second, if I can just find it here. Give me a second. And why it's good is that it does a couple of things that are fairly unusual. And the first is that, look here, if an email comes in, I can just do this. I can snooze it. It's life-changing when you can snooze an email, right? To later today, tomorrow, next week. I don't understand what this is. Really funny, right? But the email comes in and you just snooze it. When you're ready for it, it comes back to the top. It's magic. Even better, if my wife says, honey, can you pick up some milk on your way home? I don't need it then. Where do I need it? When I'm in the store. So I can pick a place and it'll show up in that place. When I'm inside the store, boom, it comes to the top. It's like magic. And this is just one feature. There's no spam. All your financial purchases all end up in one place. It's magic. And it's made by, anybody know? Who makes this? Google. Google makes this tool. And it's called Inbox. And a lot of these features are now in regular Gmail, the new Gmail, if you've used the new Gmail. And so why am I showing you this? Because I believe it is a game changer and really important. And why does it work? It works because Google did something that's very unusual. See, many of us are interested in the media, and we can say that the New York Times is really good at digital now. And it's really good at digital because it's under existential threat. Meaning if it doesn't become good, it's dead, right? And that's why it's so good. The hard part is, how do you get better when you're not under existential threat? And I can give you 2 examples of tools and companies that have done that. One is Gmail. At the height of its success, #1 tool in the world, what did they do? They made a team and said, your job is to put us out of business before somebody else puts us out of business. Right? And that's what they did with this. What is that term? In America, there's a term for that. It's called skunk works, where you have a small team working on something. And what they've done in this case is obviously not put Gmail out of business, but take those features and put it into Gmail. And the beauty of Inbox is you don't have to switch or leave Gmail. You just keep using it. It's just a skin on top of Gmail. It's an app you can download and use. Anybody here using Inbox? How do you like it?
Great.
It's great, right? Yeah. So just switch right now. You don't even have, I'm saying you don't have to switch. Just add it to what you're doing. It's just like regular. And whenever you want to go back to Gmail, you can. It works on the web, works on your desktop, works on your browser, works on your phone, whatever. And it's just great. It's really, really good. What is the other example? Anybody know about the first Apple store in the world? Was a glass cube on 5th Avenue in Manhattan. You may have seen stories about this or photographs. Anybody remember this? It's a big glass cube. By the way, is there a store here in Hong Kong, an official? There is one? Where is it? Several? The official ones, like with a lot of glass and all of this stuff. Yeah. So anyway, so that Apple store in New York is not just the first Apple store and not just the most profitable Apple store. It is perhaps, someone has to double check this, the most profitable per square foot store in the history of the planet. But today, if you go to 5th Avenue, there's no glass cube. It's gone. Why? Because at the height of its power, Apple decided to break it and go deeper and bigger and wider and plant trees and go offline for 2 years. They now have a terrible little store next door while they're working on it. How many of us have the courage to improve us when we're already good? Right? That's the hard part, when there's no danger. Right? This is what but unfortunately there is a lot of danger, and we need to keep thinking about that.
That's Singapore.
What is? Singapore is always changing?
Singapore's a country that's
Always changing. She used to live in Singapore, so she's touting Singapore there. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Facebook, and I promised Instagram as well. We have about 20 minutes left. And so first, I want to talk about Facebook. There's been a lot of noise about Facebook lately, right? There's a lot of people upset about Facebook, Cambridge Analytica, what happened with the elections, all this stuff. And it's all stuff to be angry about. But it's a tool that is going to stay and is going to be around forever. You saw after the delete Facebook movement started, does anybody remember this? Their profits went up and more people joined after the movement started. In 2010, there was World Boycott Facebook Day. 50,000 people joined a group on Facebook called Boycott Facebook Day. And it was so funny because I went on TV and I said, that's not going to have any effect because there are like 200,000 people joining every day on Facebook back then anyway. So, but there are ways to make Facebook better, and I'm going to tell you them. Number one is legacy contact. Who here has this installed? Everybody needs this. What is it? It gives you the right to give somebody control over your Facebook when you die. Now, you're all very young people, so you think it's not important, but it's really important. In 2016, I organized 2 funerals. One of a 14-year-old girl and one of a 67-year-old man. And in both cases, they did not have this. And it caused extra crisis for the family at the worst time. In one case with the girl, there was a lot of bullying and all this stuff was going on after she died. It was really horrible. And for the man, 2 days after his thing, his birthday happened to happen, and people didn't know he had died, and they're all wishing happy birthday on there, and the wife was so upset, like at the worst time. It was really bad. So please join this. So 3 requests. Please join this, but 2 other warnings. Number 1, please warn the person before you make them your Facebook legacy contact, because Facebook will send a note saying, John has made you your Facebook legacy when he dies. And he says, wait, are you dying? They'll call you. I've had sisters call brothers and other sisters crying because they think you're dying. So please call them. And the other request is, do not make me your Facebook legacy contact. Right? There's always some smartass in the room who's like, oh, he cares so much here, I'm going to give it to you, right? Please do not make me your Facebook legacy contact. Give it to somebody who really loves you. Questions about legacy contact? Everyone see why it'd be useful? And I wish Google had it, Twitter had it. All of these should have something like that, but they don't. So please do this. How many of you will do this? Almost nobody will do it. Because what happens is, you don't really think this is going to happen, or this is not important, or you forget, or that guy in pink jeans, I don't believe anything he says. It's just like, we're not joiners. People are not joiners. And even when things are good for your mom, or your wife, or your husband, or boyfriend, you still won't do it. That is unfortunately life. Okay, moving on. Next thing is Facebook See First. How many of you are doing this? Everybody should be doing this. What is it? The problem with Facebook is that a bunch of boys, mostly in Silicon Valley, decide what we see on Facebook, right? Today, that ends because we fight back with See First. What does See First allow you to do? You have friends following, you click on that, and you make it See First. Up to 30 different people or brands. And what happens? You see what you want to see, not what Facebook wants you to see. Make sense? Yes, no, maybe. Okay, so, and you can delete, you can add, and when you're angry with somebody, take them off, and when you want them, you can put them back, and all of that stuff. By the way, one sneaky, oh, look at this. Tiny reminder, you've been on the phone 8 hours and 50 minutes today, so that's my limit, it's supposed to be my limit anyway. The sneaky thing you can do is to unfollow somebody, they're still your friend, but you never see their posts. But if they check, they think you see their posts, so you can do that. You also know that Facebook has a 5,000 friend limit. In 2010, Facebook, New York Times wrote a story about people who had 5,000 friends. I was one of them. But since then, I've added hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people. What do? On birthdays, I do Facebook murder. birthdays are great days to unfriend people because they won't even notice because they get all these birthday greetings, they will not notice. And by the way, that's a good test. You know how you can see birthdays today? You just type in birthdays today, see all the birthdays. And if you cannot be bothered to write happy birthday to that person, unfriend them. They're not your friend. And you don't even have to write happy birthday. What do you have to write? HBD. You cannot be bothered to write HBD. Unfriend them. They are not your friend on Facebook. Anybody else doing anything like this, or you're all not crazy like me? No, nobody does this? Okay, no Facebook murderers here? Okay, good. You murdered 80% of your friends one day, yeah. Police didn't come after you, right? Because you just thought it was too much, right? And you were not connecting, you were not meaningfully connecting with them. 3 Idiots tried to add you back. By the way, 3 Idiots is a great movie. It's a Hindi movie, but if you get it in English subtitles, has anybody seen it? You've seen it? Yeah, it's really good. It's called 3 Idiots. It's worth seeing. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Instagram. And before we do that, I want to talk for 1 minute about portrait mode on the iPhone 10. It's also on the 8 Plus. Anybody have a 10 here? Yeah, so you've played around with have you played around with the portrait mode? Let me just show you if you haven't seen. Preeti, would you stand up? I'll make you my model here. So look what happens. So when I'm taking a photo right here, look at this, right? Oops, sorry. Let me just go back. And watch it. Look how nice that photo is, right? No prep, nothing. What does it do? It blurs out the back. Look how nice that is, right? No framing, no lighting, nothing. Just took that. And you want this picture? Yeah, okay. But you can do the same thing in Instagram. Anybody know how to do that on Instagram? Okay, so we're going to show you that. So let me give you a few Instagram tips, and then we have about 15 minutes left. Everybody okay for 15 more minutes? Yes. Okay. Good.
Wait, what was that app?
No, it's on the iPhone 10. It's the portrait mode on 8 Plus. Is it 8 Plus or 8? 8 Plus or 10. But I'm sure there's something similar in Android as well. How many Android people in the room? Raise your hand. And rest are all iPhone? Windows 10. Come on, Windows people. No Windows Phone people? One Windows Phone person? No Windows Phone people. Okay. All right. 1 second. Wow, look at that. That's an interesting drink. I don't know why it's sideways like that, but okay. All right. So a couple of Instagram tips. Number 1 is connect with me on Instagram. I'm SreeNet. But here's what they've done, right? Of course, you can always click on these. Now, this is fairly new that you can click on handles on your Instagram page, so you can do that. But much bigger than that is that you can follow Instagram posts. You see that? By hashtag. You can follow a hashtag. So why would you use this? You don't want to follow somebody, or you don't want to follow the whole, but you just want to follow the conference. You can do this, and this will just come up. So you can certainly try that in what you're doing. Right? By the way, let me just show you here. I invented something at the Met that I called it a Sphinxy, or a selfie with the Sphinx. So that's what we were doing there. But you can see I really care about selfies, right? You can see me taking photos of people taking selfies with me, or me taking photos with selfies. Okay, putting in a URL. Now, so here's a request for you on Twitter and Instagram and everywhere. There was a time when in media it was really important to be clever, especially in the magazine world. Cleverness was really cool, right? And John Huey, who was the editor of Fortune magazine, had a great line, which I love. He said, in digital, clear is the new clever. Clear is the new clever. What does he mean by that? He means that be as clear as you can instead of trying to be clever. So what happens is, you ever notice people's Instagram bios? Like, it's all too cool for school, right? It'll be like a quote from Rumi, or Chairman Mao. I don't know. There'll be like something there. And then there's no clue why I should follow you. Give people no excuse not to follow you. Tell them who you are. Tell them where you live. Tell them where you work, so that people have 10 seconds to follow you. And you will say, well, Instagram is not like that. Instagram is, but it's not. You want people to follow you. You've got to tell them what you do. And here I've given them my Twitter handle, my email. I want them to connect with me. How many of you do stories? Stories are huge, right? Stories. In America, A lot more content is now consumed as stories on Facebook and Twitter than on the regular feed. But I ask you, if you do that, please make highlights. So these things are still alive, right? So here's the Louvre Abu Dhabi, and I'm sorry. So you can see all the, in fact, it starts with a quote from Rumi, so that's pretty funny. But you can mix with video, so it's not just gone. The reason I'm not a fan of Snapchat is basically the content is gone after you make it, and I want the content to stay. And this is one way in which, so you're surprised at the Louvre Abu Dhabi, look how much they have, like so many art from, piece of art from all over the world. You can see how many people see, 300, 200, etc. are seeing that. That's sideways. There's stuff from China, a lot of stuff from China, and all of that. Questions about stories? Questions about highlights? So really think about on your feed, on your page, you should have a bunch of highlights here. All your best stories should live on, and you can do that here. It's a way to promote what you're doing, right? So you can do that for sure.
So you've been talking about personal, individual.
But even companies. This is also company. Everybody. It applies to everybody. Everything I'm talking about really applies to everybody. Of course, it's slightly different, but my biggest message to companies, as I told you when I started, right? It's about people. It's about humanizing your content, making it visual, making it personal, making it human, and people will follow you and care what you're doing. So it's really important to think about that. This is the same thing I posted over there, but on Twitter you saw, but it's just a shorter clip that I posted. But whenever you post, you want to think about each platform and what's on each thing. Any other tips about Instagram that you want to share? Anybody want to share a tip? One of them is you don't need to click in and read a post to see it, right? You can just go like this and hit like that without clicking in. You all know this, right? So when you're in the feed like this, you just go in, hold it down, and go up, hit like, and you can do that. Okay, now there's an archive button also, which didn't exist before. Any other Instagram questions or comments from anybody? Right. If you can get a business account on Instagram, one of the benefits is that you can have a lot more insights like you do on Facebook, and you can do that. All right. Let's go back to Facebook. One of my tips is, I think we finally killed the. Oh, this is still there. Okay. One of my tips is to use Facebook groups and build out groups. Facebook is spending a lot of money and energy and computing power on improving the group functionality inside Facebook. So think about how you're using groups and what kind of statistics they're giving you on Facebook groups. Okay. And now let's go to Twitter and spend a couple of minutes on that. Any other Facebook questions, by the way? No? Okay. So, oops, let me just go in here. So a couple of things on Facebook. Facebook has 5 opportunities for branding on what you do on Facebook, right? On Twitter. Sorry, Twitter. 5 opportunities. Number 1 is your photo, right? A recent recognizable photo of you. Not you as a child, not you with your child, not you from 20 years ago. Recent recognizable photo of you, right? Second is this banner headline here, right? This banner space. You can put things you want here. Make it about your brand and check to see how it looks on mobile. Some people do it on a desktop and it looks terrible on mobile. But so the answer to that is to build it inside mobile instead of building it on your desktop. Number 3 is your name. Look how much space there is, and in fact there's my Chinese name here. You can see that here because I was coming here, so I did that. And you can promote whatever you're working on. Look at this, Social Media Weekend, June 1 and 2. There's so much room on there. They did that, so you can. So when many people go for conferences, they do that. They put hashtag in the name of the conference, so you can find each other when you're doing that. Number 3 is 1, 2, 3. Number 4 is your name, your handle. I'm sorry. Make it so there are some tips in your. Sorry, I should have done this. You look here. These are all tips on how to pick your handle and do all this stuff. It's all right here. You can see that. And then in your description, look how much room there is. I put in a lot of junk in here. You see that? And why is it blue? It's really important to make it blue because that's how Twitter learns about you. And they recommend you to somebody else. You ever notice when you follow somebody, it says 3 names under that? How does it do that? It's based on this. So that's why you teach it. Where you used to work, what you used to write about, what you tweet about. So teach it by writing this. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. And over here, the location, really be clear about where you live. PR people, journalists are always looking to see where people live. I give my email address out. You can also have a link to something, either your LinkedIn page or something like that. And you're looking at my full birthday because this is my Twitter, right? That's why you're seeing that. You don't have to see, you don't have to show the birthday on there. And then you see all the followers. But the other part that we're not using enough of is the pinned tweet. This is a chance. Everybody should have a pinned tweet. What is the most important thing happening in your life right now that you want people to read about? In my case, it's my conference in June and next Friday in New York. If you're free, join me. I'll give you a free in fact, if you come to New York, I'll give you a free ticket to the conference, about $250 value. The ticket, unfortunately, the plane ticket is like $2,000, so that I can't help you. But if you get there, I'll give you a free ticket. I have, anybody know Steve Van Zandt? He was Silvio in Sopranos, and he's Bruce Springsteen's guitarist. He's speaking about social media on that day. So a couple of other things on Twitter that I'm really encouraged by and using. Number one is the threaded conversation. And there have always been threads on Twitter, but now you can make them really efficient. So for example, here, you can see show threads, right? By the way, only 5 of you retweeted this. If you go in right now, you hit retweet, then these slides and everything can be seen by your friends and others. So just go hit like or retweet and share it. And what happens is you can see the entire thread here like this, right? You've seen this new profile pic. Many of us are doing that. When you have a new profile picture, do that so that people can see you have a new profile picture. And then you can have a thread like this that's going up and 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 up. Like I was shocked that Cathay Pacific had no Wi-Fi for 15 hours. I was counting on working at least 10 of those hours, 5 of those hours. I was shocked that they didn't have that. So I complained to them. By the way, if you're free and interested, tomorrow, if you're not sick of the Srinivasans, tomorrow Ying has arranged at Hotel Stage. My wife is going to be talking about careers and how you future-proof your career. And so if you're she's a career coach and she's head of strategy for a company called Harman. They make the JBL speakers. You might be familiar with that. And so this is at Hotel Stage in Jordan. And it's 250 Hong Kong dollars. It includes a copy of her book. So if you're interested or you know somebody who's interested in going, you can just find that on my Twitter feed or follow her on Twitter at Rupa Online. And you can connect with her and say, thanks for letting Sree do this, or thanks a lot. Why didn't you keep him at the hotel? You can write something like that. I won't be there because I'll be in Taiwan, thanks to Ying, tomorrow. She's keeping the whole Srinivasan clan occupied at all times, which is great. Anyway, any other questions about Twitter from anybody? No?
So in Hong Kong, Twitter is not as common. So what do we do?
So, well, the question is, and someone else also mentioned the same thing, that Twitter's not really big. I'm surprised because in many countries of kind of Hong Kong's development, interests, center of the universe that it thinks it is, Twitter's really big. So why do you think Twitter's not so big here? It's because WeChat is so big? It's because, what is the reason?
I think because it's text-based, it's largely in English.
Right.
And here people prefer more visual.
Yep.
So it's huge. Facebook has like 90% penetration. I think people find Twitter to be too serious, too Western.
Too serious, too Western.
Western.
Too seriously Western, I like that.
Too newsy, too text-heavy.
Yep.
And that's why Instagram and Facebook are bigger here.
I totally get that. Here's my WeChat, and here's my WeChat code if anybody wants to add me. Can you add me from that distance? Yeah. Is it possible? Okay, we'll try, right? You can try. By the way, that's Daniel Xu, who is the co-founder of Tencent, who forced me onto WeChat. My problem is I don't have enough people who speak English on WeChat, so I don't use it. But that's some of you know Daniel Xu. He's the CTO of Tencent. Does it work from a distance? I didn't know that. See, QR codes are not big in America, but they're about to be. What changed? Apple does native QR codes now. Until last 2 years, it didn't do that. So now maybe I'll get some WeChat friends. Let's see. Any friends? How can I tell? Oh, contacts here. Are these you guys or what? I don't know. Oh, yeah, I see some people. Hi, people. Well, actually, nobody joined me. You just all just held up your phones, pretended. So sad. So tragic. I'm kidding. It's okay. I don't really mind. I'm still learning. Well, he is, but not from today, 3 days ago. Oh, yeah. All right. Anyway, let me just talk a little bit. Are you WhatsApp users? Are WhatsApp big here? All right. Let me teach you my 3 favorite WhatsApp tricks. You might know these already. Number 1, please turn off save to camera roll. Right? It's like your cousin's stupid greetings all on your phone. So everybody turn that off, right? Okay. Next, very important. When you're in these chats, if there's a chat that's really important, do this. You can pin a chat. So what happens? It's like magic. All the 3 most important ones are at the top. Everything is going on down here. All your cousins' stupid messages are here. By the way, if you ever meet any of my cousins, do not tell them that I keep talking about them on my class. You see what I mean? Everybody understand? Like all the junk is here. The 3 most important things are here. You can always turn it off afterwards. So when you're on a chat, you just in the group, you go like this and pin either a chat or a person. I mean, it could be just a single person like your spouse, or it could be a group. You can pin it up to 3. Imagine if email had this. You log in and the top 3 are always the ones you want. Your boss, your spouse. It would be really good, right? But they don't do that on here. Questions or comments? And the third tip, and by the way, some of you may have better tips than me on all of this. Look at this. Secret, secret, secret. Anybody know what that is? It's the BCC list. So you can write to everyone in your family individually and make them feel like you wrote to them personally. Good morning. Or whatever it is you people do. Everybody understand this? Yes, yes. Everyone see the magic of it? Because some things when you send into a group, what happens? Everybody replies and it's a waste of everybody's time. But if you put BCC in broadcast list, you can do that. What is the only catch? You have to have them in your, they have to have you in their contact. That's why you cannot just write to everybody in a group. It has to be somebody you already know. That's okay. Any other WhatsApp tips? Anybody? That's pretty good, right? That's a pretty good WhatsApp tip. Okay, we have another 2 minutes. Can everyone pull out their document, please? So we're going to do 2 quick things on here. We're just going to read the top list here. Does everyone see on the top left this list here, like this here? I'm just going to read through them very quickly. What's common sense in real life is common sense in social media. Is that obvious to everybody? Yes? Almost everyone will miss everything. We talked about that. Don't share every thought that pops into your head. How's that? Obvious? Okay. Tweet as if your next tweet is your last. What is that about? Right? Like post, if you think you might die with this next, like if I say, boy, the buses in Hong Kong are really slow. As I'm crossing the street, I was running to the Miniso store and I thought I might get hit by one of these buses, but you don't want to tweet that, right? So you have to be really careful what you post. So think about what you're posting and you will be more careful. If, there's a collection of great final tweets, and so you may want to end up on there. The other day I thought I was having a heart attack because I was having pain in my left arm. It turned out to be a pinched nerve. So I went in and tweeted something about my wife in case that's my last tweet. And then it turned out I was not dying. So anyway, let's see here. So look through this list, and you can see on the list there's all kinds of things you can look at here. A whole bunch of tools I recommend. Canva. Anybody using Canva? One person. Everybody is amazing, right? Canva is really good. Typorama, Giphy, Bitmoji. Taylor is amazing. What does Taylor do? You have, when you try to print out take screenshots of a web page, it doesn't fit on one phone screen, right? You have to do 3, and it stitches them together into one image automatically. So it's called Taylor. So you can see that. Spark Post, Piccollars, there's so many of them. Bitly, please get your own Bitly account. So all of these you can see on your own time. You can see how to use them, what to do. And all my contact information, of course, is here also in what it is you're you're trying to do here. Let me see. Oops, sorry. And oops, let me just go to the end here. And I promised you that I would give you my tips on getting more followers. Part of that is this idea that when you're creating content or creating anything, any kind of project or something you're doing, I have a mantra that I use. 3 words: simple, useful, delightful. Simple, useful, delightful. Normally, when we make digital projects, it's the exact opposite of these 3 words, whatever the opposite is, right? Really complicated, not delightful. Just think about that, like simple, useful, delightful. And I think it makes a big, big difference in what you're doing, in the tools you're making. You can check these out if you want to see what they are. Oh, sorry, I know some of you are taking a picture. Go ahead, take a picture. Always be collecting, but share as appropriate, correct? 2 more slides, I think. Anyone know emailcharter.org? In a Snapchat world, email still matters, right? So I believe email still matters, and there's a tool that helps you fix the problems with office email. You know, office politics, office email. 1 word for you, NNTR. Anybody know what that means? No need to reply, or no need to respond. You know how you say thank you, then you're thank you, no, you thank you, no, thank you, you're wonderful, right? Just write an email and try that. No need to respond. This was created by Chris Anderson. Anyone know who that is? Chris is the curator of TED. So on top of everything else, he created emailcharter.org. It has these 10 rules for fixing your email troubles. And look at number 10, disconnect. In fact, I copied that here. I said, log off and read a book, right? That's what I said there. All right, so now we're ready for my social media success formula, which is a series of words that we will read together as if we're in Catholic Church on Sunday, led by a Hindu priest, okay? So we're going to say these words out loud together. Are you ready? Let's practice. And go. Oh, it's terrible. Oh, my God. Horrible. Blah. Okay, we're going to try again. Okay, good. You guys are ready. Now let's do it. And go. Start at the top again. Louder. Can't hear you. Sing it, sister. Say it, brother. Take me home, mama. Hallelujah. Man, you've never been to a Hindu Catholic church? That's what we do. This is what we do. So I'm not saying
Occasionally, only.
only occasionally funny, because unless you're Jim Carrey, you're not always funny, right? So occasionally funny. But what I'm saying here is that not all your posts have to be all of these things, but all your posts have to be some of these things, right? And you think about this, this is actually a media success formula. Whatever you do, like think of your favorite magazines are like this, right? Or this is also a life success formula, right? If you think about this, like one of the words that is most underappreciated, first of all, I should tell you, I know there's at least one lawyer in the room. Actionable does not mean let's sue somebody, right? That means let's create content that other people will take action on. That's what that means. But the word that I think is least used in social but very successful is generous, right? Talk about other people. Point to other people's content. Talk about other people on Twitter, on other platforms. Instead of just me all the time. Talk about things, make it interesting, make it helpful to other people. And you remember I said the scarcest resource is human attention, and you gave me a full 2+ hours of attention, which is an immense blessing. Thank you so much, everybody. Really appreciate it. And you have my slides one more time, and I want to take a selfie because I said selfie or it didn't happen, right? So stay where you are, everyone. And I'm just going to go in the corner here and take a selfie. I'll take a couple. Ready, everyone? Look up here. All right, and I'll go over here. And I'll stick around for a couple of minutes. I do have to go to this AAJ dinner, unfortunately. Okay, here we go. Everyone wave. Wave, yay, thank you. Thanks very much, everybody. And thank Ying Chan. Thank Walia. And the folks at iDendron, yes? Lawrence, where's Lawrence? Well, Lawrence has gone home. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. I'll stick around for a couple of minutes. And please come see me in New York. Okay? By the way, remember, you get what you pay for.